Welcome to the Growing Tall Poppies Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Nat Green, and I'm so excited to have you join me as we discuss what it means to navigate your way through post-traumatic growth and not just survive, but to thrive after trauma. Through our podcast, we will explore ways for you to create a life filled with greater purpose, self-awareness, and a deep inner peace. Through integrating the many years of knowledge and professional experience, as well as the wisdom of those who have experienced trauma firsthand, we will combine psychology, accelerated approaches, coaching, and personal experience to assist you to learn, to grow, and to thrive. I hope to empower you to create deeper awareness and understanding and stronger connections with yourself and with others, whilst also paving the way for those who have experienced trauma and adversity to reduce their suffering and become the very best versions of themselves in order to thrive. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. I'm super excited and grateful today to bring you our next guest on the Growing Tall Poppies podcast. It's my absolute pleasure to welcome an amazing lady. She has experienced some trauma and adversity throughout her life and has agreed to come and chat to us today about both her personal and professional experience and share her wisdom with us. So let me start by welcoming Hope Pedraza. Hope is a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, human design guide, clinical hypnotherapist, and host of the Hopeful and Wholesome podcast. And let me tell you, it is an amazing podcast. I've been binge listening to it lately. I love it. And she helps high-performing, spiritually curious women optimize their energy, rebalance their nervous system, and reconnect with their body's wisdom so they can scale their business and their life without burnout. Her signature method blends functional labs, human design embodiment, and subconscious reprogramming to create sustainable radiance from the inside out. So welcome, Hope. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and chat with you.
All right. So you've got a wealth of experience and knowledge and information to share with us today. I'm super excited. Could we start with you giving us a bit of a brief introduction of who you are and what you're doing in the world now?
Yeah, for sure. So I am, as a human, I'm a mom. I have two littles. I am a wife. I have a husband. I'm a business owner and an entrepreneur. I have a brick and mortar Pilates and fitness studio here. I'm in the States and I'm in South Texas. And then I also have my online business where, as you mentioned, I'm a functional practitioner. And the work that I do as a functional practitioner is, for me, I just relish over anything of where science meets soul. And for me, that's the work that I do with my clients is, yes, I'll run the functional labs and we'll do the functional work and we'll talk about nutrition and minerals and labs and all those things. But I am a firm believer that everything physical happening on the body has an energetic or emotional root cause. And so, as you mentioned in my bio, I tie in things like human design and hypnotherapy and NLP and these subconscious modalities for us to really get to the root cause. And this is the evolution of my businesses has been kind of in step with my own personal evolution as I've used these tools with myself and recognizing like, oh, okay, it's not just enough to think about my diet or how much I'm working out. Like, right, there's all these deeper layers. And so, yeah, I've just been, especially over the past probably 5 years, I feel like for a lot of people, I know this is true for a lot of people, COVID was like this portal of just like really intense change and in a lot of different ways. And so I feel like it was like that for me. And the past few years, especially, have just been a time of like growth and spiritual awakening and healing and all the things.
Oh, you're speaking my language in multiple layers there as you introduced all these things. And as you know, I love NLP. That's my preferred modality. And I just think that we get so much movement with our clients when we're doing
Mhm.
the accelerated processes using NLP in a healthy and helpful way. We know that there's some people that have used it not so well, and that's given it a bad rap a lot of the time. But the functional medicine stuff and looking at people as a whole is so important because a lot of our listeners, as I was saying to you before we started, present with invisible illnesses, chronic health conditions, autoimmune disorders. And yeah, I love that you are able to really see the person as a whole and get to the root cause. So tell us a bit more about that work that you do because I love.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love it too. And I mean, as I said, it's just the how I got the work that I'm doing now has just been this constant evolution. So when I first started my brick and mortar studio, my business, I wanted to create this one-stop shop. You can get everything you want in one place. And so, we have Pilates and fitness and meditation, yoga, all the things. And so I started with just basic nutrition coaching and women. I was working with only women at the time. They were coming to me for basic things, right? It's what most of them are like, oh, I want to drop 10 pounds or something like that. But when I was having conversations with these women, this is kind of when at some point a light bulb went off where I'm thinking, okay, what's really going on in your body requires a deeper conversation than just talking about calories and macros, because that was kind of the extent of it. And so I'm recognizing there's gut issues, there's hormone issues, there's
Mm.
thyroid issues. Like I was recognizing there's all these deeper things. So that sent me down the path to become a functional practitioner. And, I did a lot of work on myself and I went through a period of really bad adrenal burnout. So help heal my body. But then I was recognizing, okay, well, these specific things keep flaring up. And what's up with that? And so this is when I recognized, okay, like there's some energetic things in my body. There's like emotional things I was holding on to.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk about this a lot on your show. Like we hold on to a lot of these emotions that are experienced during, our trauma, big T or little T. And that was the part that I hadn't addressed yet. And so this is when I kind of put all these other pieces together and I brought in some more modalities and did some more certifications and trainings and all that. And I think that, the people that come to work with me, they've been to other practitioners, a lot of times other functional practitioners.
Mm.
They've maybe gone the conventional medical route, but it's either they can't get the relief that they're really looking for. They haven't got, like, they can feel some relief, but it's like, well, I know that there's an optimal available for me that I'm not able to get
Mm.
to, right? It's like just out of reach.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they haven't had results at all. It's like, oh, well, like they give me a diagnosis and they just want to give me a bunch of stuff, but they're not really helping me heal. Like I don't want a band-aid solution, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, this is where all of this work comes in and diving into the energetic body and helping them understand themselves. That's a really big piece for me is I want every person who I work with to really understand their body. Because it's one thing for somebody to just tell you, oh, do this. And they give you a,
Yeah.
a protocol, like, go do
Mm.
this and take these things. I want you to actually understand what's going on. Here's what's going on in your physical body. Here's how your energetic body is designed to function. Here is why there's a disconnect and why you're
Mm.
experiencing these things. So you have like you're equipping yourself and with the tools. So now you're resourced. And so now when you have a flare up or whatever, you have the tools to help. But it all comes down to really understanding yourself at that energetic level and understanding the role that emotions play in our
Mm.
physical health.
Yes. Oh, I love that so much. Oh, I can so relate because I have autoimmune conditions. I think I'm going to book in for a session or two or 10. You'll go, oh, I
Yeah.
think you're a year's worth of work for me, Nat.
I am happy to take it.
I'll be booking in. I think I just know that the autoimmune conditions and I went down, what's going on? What's going on? I've done the healing, I've done the emotional stuff, but there's more. But
Hmm.
yeah, anyway, enough about me. I can just think there are so many of our listeners who have the same things. They reach out and they say, I've got this condition and I've seen this doctor and an integrative doctor and this specialist, and they're not getting the answers. So I
Yeah.
love that you're looking deeper at that energetic process within our body because that often gets missed, particularly in, you know, our normal medical model that we have
Right.
here,
Right.
because
Yeah.
functional practitioners are so few and far between here, certainly accessible ones.
Sure. Yeah. For sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the big piece that's missing because it's one thing that's the thing with the root cause. Like we talk about root cause, and a lot of times we can look at it from a strictly functional perspective and say, okay, the root cause is us, doing these functional labs, and then we can see, what's happened in your body to make your thyroid act this way, or, why your autoimmune things happen this way. But for me, it's one thing to say, oh, your cortisol is doing this, your hormones are doing this, your gut's doing this. Well, what's happening energetically that's making your cortisol do that? What is
Exactly.
programmed energetically to make your gut do that? Like that's the deeper root cause that I want to get down to the
Oh,
bottom
I love it. I think people are going to be knocking down your door.
of.
Yeah, so as we know, the guests that I get on here have experienced trauma or adversity in their life. And so we talk a little bit about that, and I'm happy for you to share as much or as little as you like. So I'm just wondering if you could give us an overview of what has happened for you in your life that led you to wanting to get to your root cause.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's a great question. Uh, I there's so much. Sure, where to start. I feel like the past probably 10 years, the last decade has probably been the most like when the most has happened and it has been the most transformational. But then there's these other pieces too that tie into, things that I've dealt with. So in the past 10 years, I mean, I've gone through divorce, I've gone through bankruptcy, I've gone through lawsuits, I've gone through watching my dad die, watch my dad's health decline and literally watching him die. Like I've been through uh having kids and life transitions and all. Like there's so much that has happened in the past decade, and all of that has shaped, my energetic, emotional landscape and of things that I've had to work through. And then I think that the other piece that was kind of before that was, and I didn't recognize this. I was working with like a spiritual business coach. I think it was like right when COVID hit. So probably around 2020 when a lot of this started hitting me, recognizing that there was a lot of, you totally talk, I don't know if you've talked deeply about this, but about religious trauma
Yeah.
and how that has shaped who I am. And now, granted, I know there's levels to that too. Like I wasn't in a cult. I guess that might be debatable for some people, but just the teachings that were ingrained in me from birth that
Okay.
affected and shaped my sense of self and my self-worth,
Mhm.
my confidence, my value, my self is like all of those things. And there's so many people. I mean, that's still a work in progress for me. Like there's
Mhm.
layers, like you were talking about layers. There's layers of these things that come up, and now I feel like I've grown so much where I can be a little bit more curious about it. Like, huh, that's interesting.
Mhm.
Like, why am I getting triggered by that thing? Or like, why is that thing bothering me? And this other layer comes out. And so
Mm.
it's just there's so much to unpack there. But I think that kind of being tucked under the surface and then dealing with all those other traumas over the past decade has just really, yeah, been part of my healing journey.
Thank you for being so open and sharing that. So, again, so many layers. And a lot of that, like someone would hear that and go, oh my God, one of those is bad enough. But to have multiple layers, but it's interesting that as those layers have peeled away and you've worked through those, that underlying layer that may have shaped all of that has shown itself now. So,
Yeah.
I think those things are really important that when we go through trauma, it's not a one and done. And the layers show themselves when we're ready to
Mm-hmm.
see them, to feel them, to process them.
Yeah, that's
So,
exactly it.
yeah, so it's interesting though that your journey took you were way ahead of the game in trying to get to the root cause and uncover that and do the healing. So you were healing yourself as you found out more
Mm-hmm.
to then be able to deal with the underlying thing. And I think, religion plays a part in a lot of people's lives at varying levels. And some people are so anti because of what they've gone
Right.
through.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
And it shapes so much of who we are and our values. So when you look back, what were the biggest turning points for you with your
Mm-hmm.
traumas, do you think?
I think I really think that my divorce was kind of the catalyst for everything else. And that one happened probably, yeah, that one happened first because all
Mhm.
the other things happened after that. So my divorce, yeah, my divorce happened in 2012. And that was, I mean, that was like earth shattering for me. Because
Mm,
again, growing up in very conservative religion, the worst possible thing you could do was get divorced. Like, oh, you're for sure going to hell now. Like, you got
mm,
divorced.
yeah.
So it was, I mean, there was so much shame and guilt attached to that.
Mm,
And so much like, I also type A perfectionist is like, well, I'm a failure. Like, I'm a total failure. And even though not saying I'd not played a part in any of the divorce, but like there was infidelity and there's a whole thing.
mm,
So I think that was probably the breaking point for me. And I had a friend at the time, and it's funny to think about how people come into your life for a brief moment and then they're gone because
mm,
at some point we lost touch and I have no idea where she is, but it's like the universe just puts people where they need to be at the right time.
yes.
So I had this friend at the time and I mean I was just devastated and like I don't know
Mm,
what to do with myself and I don't know what to do. You when you grow up, I grew up in the South of the United States, so it's
yeah.
called the Bible Belt, and you follow the order of things, and you go
Mm,
to school, and you get married, and you have kids, and you did it, right? And so now it's like, well, what am I going to do now? Like the timeline is all messed up. And so I had a
mm,
friend at the time and she told me, she said, I understand like there's a grieving process that has to happen here. She's like, but you have completely, your identity is so tied up in that marriage, what we used to be, that you have completely lost your sense of self. She's like,
mm,
the reason you're so devastated is because you don't even know who you are outside of that.
yes.
And I was so harsh. And so I was so offended at the time. But then recognizing like she was absolutely right. That identity was tied up. And I didn't know who I was and had my own opinions and beliefs about right. It was so that was a huge moment for me. And I think that was such a the beginning of such a huge amount of growth of me discovering myself maybe for the
Yeah.
first time like what
Mm,
I liked and didn't like and what I believe my beliefs and my values about things and recognizing that I was allowed to have my own opinions about things that didn't have to align
mm,
with how I was raised and right so yeah I would say that was really the portal for the rest of it.
yeah, which makes complete sense because your whole identity had been shattered.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
100%.
as you said, everything, the way you were raised, everything about who you are and who you were believed to be safe people was gone.
Yeah, yeah,
So in one, quick moment, it's like, bang, who am I now? And I've lost everything. So I
exactly.
completely get it that your identity shifted and had to shift, or you would have been stuck in the distress attached to that trauma.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Wow. So when you look back at that, how do you think you have changed and your identity has changed as a result of that because of what you've been through?
I mean, I am 100% totally a different person than I was back then
Yeah.
in a lot of different ways. And, like you were saying, how these traumas kind of shape you and it can kind of prepare you for the next thing. And so, I've dealt with a lot over the past, since then, right? My dad got super sick and,
Mm,
there's that whole thing and watch my dad die and then bankruptcy lawsuits, all these things. So I do feel like there was by basically being forced into this self-discovery
mm,
journey by default like well now I have to figure out who I am because I clearly didn't know before this that really paved the path for me for this the last however many years of growth that I've had and so I think that understanding myself and again this is multi-layered because I think the other thing that happened so this there's still I mean this is like kind of a trauma thing too I grew up as mentioned, I was type A perfectionist. I had disordered eating behavior for a very long time.
mhm,
And so, kind of at this, when the divorce happened and all this growth was happening, at the same time, I kind of used that to help heal my body image and my
mm,
that kind of stuff. So this is all happening at the same time. So there was this sense of this newfound sense of self-worth and confidence and self-awareness that kind of came up from this. And that really kind of led me into, I mean, it led me into the work that I don't know. I mean, I don't know. You never know what would have happened, but I just think about like what I'm doing now and me like having the courage to quit my job. I mean, I had like a regular, like I use air quotes here, like a real job, right
Yeah.
before I decided to be a business owner. And so I think about that, like maybe I wouldn't have had the courage to quit
Mm,
my job that had benefits and insurance and all the things, right,
yeah.
to go do that. So it's, yeah, it allowed me to like, I think too, and this is really the past few years has really been a huge piece of a huge area of growth for me, but really listening to my intuition. Like that was a really big piece for me too. And really tuning into that and learning that about myself. Because I think I had, well, I know I did. I don't think I know that I had pushed that away for so long because of the religious thing. It's
Religious up
like,
there.
yeah, you live this way and you think this way and you do things
Hmm.
this way. And so you kind of quiet your own, right, inner
Yeah.
voice, inner compass. And yeah. So that's been a big breakthrough for me too.
Mm, yes. Thank you for sharing that. So, as you look at all the things and all the layers that have peeled away, do you think there's any specific qualities or personal attributes that you have seen as being key for moving from trauma into post-traumatic growth in yourself and in other people, people that you work with?
Mm, yeah. I think there's a couple things. I think that there's a resiliency. I think that's required.
Hmm.
And that one, I think there it's like a combination of nature and nurture because I often think about that. Is it nature versus nurture? I think it's a combination of those, the resiliency. I do think that some people, and I mean, I believe in like old souls and past lives. So I do think that sometimes that's just our soul contract that we're meant to go through certain things. And some people have lived lives where they've been able to go through more things so they can handle things in a different way.
Hmm.
So so I do think there's some nature versus and nurture that is involved there, but I think there's a sense of resiliency, and I think the other thing is what's the word I'm looking for? This sense of optimism is the word that's coming in. And I don't know if that's
Hmm.
exactly the word that I want to use, but that's what I'm going to go with. But it's this sense of optimism that there is more available, like there is more available. And I think that's the
Mm.
mindset that I've always taken. And now, granted, I probably wouldn't have had this mindset before this, but with my own growth and spiritual
Yeah.
growth and all that, I I have these desires in my soul, right? I talk a lot about
Hmm.
purpose on my show. I
Yeah.
have these desires in my soul, and I believe that they would not be there if they weren't meant for me. Like
Mm.
God, universe, whatever would not have put them there if they weren't meant for me. And so I have to believe that there's more available and that there is more to come. And so I think that's the mindset that I've taken through all of the things.
Hmm.
And like the COVID times is really hard for me. That's where kind of there's a lot going on with bankruptcy and lawsuits on this stuff. And that was just kind of my, and I was sick and pregnant at the time. It was just like perfect time to be
Mm.
pregnant.
Oh,
But that was kind of my mindset to get me through that, where I have this fire in my soul to do this thing. I have this, so I know it's meant for me. So I just have
hmm.
to keep believing that just if I keep taking one step after another, that I'm on the right path. I'm gonna get there.
Love that. So, how do you, like, you know that you've got that fire in your soul? And when you talked about it, you lit up, and I could see that. And when you've talked about all the things that you've done as you've explored this, I'm just wondering, how do you know you're connecting with your purpose, and how do you stay on track?
Hmm. I think for me, really, it's how I feel in my body. And this has been also been a work in progress. We talked on my show, we talked about, how people kind of disconnect the body from the mind and we stay up in the
Yeah.
mind a lot. And that's been a really big area of growth since, in
Hmm.
that post-traumatic growth for me is really tuning into my body. And it's also the intuition thing, right? I can recognize the difference between most of the time, I don't want to say I'm
Yeah.
perfect, but for the majority of the time, I
Hmm.
can recognize the difference between fear and intuition, right? Am I making this decision out of fear or is it my intuition? And I can feel in my body. I've done so much somatic work to get into my
Mm.
body and listen to my body. And so for me, that's what it is. It's just, it's how does it feel in my body when I'm making a decision, when I'm deciding to do something. I know in my body if it's a lift, if it's a lightness, if it's an expansion, expansive feeling in the body, then I know I'm going in the right path. If it's a restriction, a contraction, constriction, a heaviness, then I know it's not. So it's for me, it's just tuning into my body and letting that lead the way.
Yes. And and as we know, a lot of people when they've been through trauma struggle to tune in with their body,
Mm-hmm.
a disconnect because they're not who they used to be. So they're not really familiar with the fact that they're feeling these new things, or they've shut down their capacity to feel and they're not in tune with their gut. So, what would be one way that you help someone you work with to tune in with themselves?
Yeah. I think it is tricky. And I think for me, especially after my divorce, and that was such like an earth-shattering moment for me, I I didn't know how to tune into my body because then I'm like I doubted myself. Like, well, I clearly
Mm,
made the wrong decision, so how do I ever trust myself again? Like this wasn't right. And so I think there's a couple parts of that. I think first of all, there's the perspective of like I don't really believe that God or the universe tests us, but I do think that there are initiations that happen because we ask
mhm.
for more and it requires an initiation for us to get like to be able to get to that next level more. So I think having that perspective where it doesn't necessarily mean you made the wrong decision. It's like, okay, this is kind of, I mean, I guess you could say it's a test. I don't see it that way, but this is a moment where you're able to like put on display your
Mhm.
resiliency and your like all
Yes.
of these things that these tools that you have, right? And so you're able to to move past it in that way. So I think there's that piece. I think the other piece is going directly back to your question is to help people get into their body. And you mentioned this, a practice that you use in talking about a body scan. And
Mhm.
I think I pretty much do something similar where I use hypnosis in my practice. And so if we can get into the hypnotic state and talk to the subconscious mind, then we can get into the body. And it's just allowing people to feel sensations in their body. And it's a body scan. It's a tuning in. I work with human design and when I talk about authority, which is how you make decisions, all of these are body based. And that's a big way too. So I help them understand what their authority is, how they best make decisions. And then we use that. Like, okay, how do we tune into this specific part of the body where you're designed to make decisions? And how we feel that? And it just takes practice. It takes practice to turn off your mind because that's what
Yes.
happens first. Because your mind wants to get
Mhm.
all in it and like start getting into it's like, no, let's turn the mind off. So that's a big part of it. And then can you just feel your body? And I have the first thing, if my clients are coming to me and this is like a completely foreign concept, which isn't always the case. I have some clients who are very in tune with their body and they can,
Mhm.
but some of my clients, this is like a foreign concept. So I have them, okay, can you just take 3 times during the day, sometime in the morning, like maybe right when you wake up, sometime in the middle of the day, and then sometime in the evening, and just do a quick check in
Mhm.
with your body, quick body scan. How do I feel? Does anything, is there pain, sharpness, tension, whatever? Like, but doing that at 3 different parts of the day allows them to, they're taking the time to do it and actually have that, like making it a practice to tune into their body and listen.
Mhm.
But a lot of times too, you might feel great in the morning, but feel terrible in the evening. But you're like, but then you'll tell me like, oh no, I feel great. But when you're doing these check-ins,
Mm.
you recognize, oh, there's parts of the day where I don't feel great, and you're building that practice of tuning into your body. So just those quick little check-ins. It sounds so simplistic, and it is. I mean, it's very simple. But just starting that practice, you're making yourself tune into your body, listen to your body, and you start to build that relationship with yourself where you
Mm.
can your body and your mind can start to talk to each other.
Oh, I love that so much because you're right. How often do, we see a client and how are you? I'm good. And how was your day? Oh, my day was great because taken that one little bit where it was okay and they think
Hmm.
that's what they've got to tell you,
Yep. Yep.
not about the other parts that were shit and really
Hmm.
weren't great, that they've
Exactly.
forgotten about or they've skimmed over because then it changed. So I think that, and being able to then keep track of that and share that as well, helps you get a better picture
Hmm. For
of
sure.
what's really been going on for them for the day. So I love
Yeah.
that. And I
Yeah.
know I've done a bit on human design, but not a huge amount. So I'd love you to tell us a little bit more about that because I know it's your love and
Yeah.
passion.
Yeah, I do. I love human design, and it's been such this that's really been such a crucial tool for me and the post-traumatic growth process. So human design is essentially your energetic blueprint, your soul's energetic blueprint. So it's how your energy is designed to operate, and it puts together some ancient teachings like the chakra system, which I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with, the chakra
Hmm.
system, astrology, the Kabbalah tree of life, the I Ching, and it puts it together with some modern day sciences like quantum mechanics and quantum physics and neuroscience, and it puts it together into this chart.
Hmm.
And so, as I mentioned before, I love anything at the intersection of science and soul, and human design is like, I mean, that's the essence of it.
Perfect, isn't it?
And
Yep.
yes, yes. And there's like you can get really sciencey, but like there's this whole part about neutrinos, which are these subatomic particles that can affect our DNA. So like there's this whole sciencey part of it. But that sciencey part aside, just looking at it at base level, it helps you understand your energy. And so it's how you're designed to make decisions, how you're designed to respond to the world around you and other people. I can see things like how you're designed to digest food and information around you and energy around you. It's
Wow.
how your energy is flowing through your different energy centers. So, how it affects your different organs in the body, or different organ systems. And so, there's so much to look at. And for me, it was such a crucial healing tool because it helped me understand me at a really deep level.
Mm.
And it was super validating, first of all, like seeing it and recognizing there was a lot of pieces that I've tried to, shove aside or push down or argue away, like, no, that's not me. Where I can see it now, like, oh, I'm designed to operate this way. Like, this is me. And so people might have heard this before. People call like, oh, it's a permission slip, and that's really what it felt like for me, because there were so many parts of me that I did feel like I was trying to change or shove aside or quiet down or whatever, and I could see now like, no, I was divinely designed this way. This is how I'm designed to operate, and so that it just really allowed me to see me at that level and to be able to live my life more authentically and true to me, and that's, I mean, that's how it's helped me moving forward as well, and just understanding my energy and how it's designed to operate and how I'm designed to be here on this planet.
I really love how you've layered on all the amazing, the functional stuff that you do into that as well. I've not heard that done with human design. So that is really of interest. I remember doing the human design many years ago with one of my mentors. And I was like, oh, really? Is that what I am? Oh, I don't want to be that.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, that is also
manifesting
a valid response.
a manifesting generator. I'm like, no, that sounded like it was the one you didn't
That's what
want
I
to
am too.
be. And then when I
Yeah.
looked at it, I was like, oh, yeah, okay.
I
Yes,
guess
yes,
so.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yep. Yep. And that's such a common response. I've had people ask that before. I did a workshop here locally at a women's entrepreneur group
Mhm.
earlier this year. And somebody asked that question because she was like, I'm looking at this and I really feel like I'm this other one. And I love that. I love that question because it is such a perfect invitation for you to see where your conditioning is. Where have you been conditioned to believe that that one is actually you when it's not?
Yep.
So it's such a really great place for growth because then we can kind of untangle those pieces and see
Mm.
like, oh, I've been conditioned to operate in this way. It's actually not how I'm designed to operate. So yeah, I love that.
Yes, it's interesting. It's certainly an eye opener, but I think such a valuable tool.
Mm-hmm.
And people are talking about it more and more. And I know it's been around for ages, but I love the way that you're looking at using
Thank
that at a
you.
deeper level. And I think you have
Yeah.
so much value to offer. So, one more thing. So, do you think there's any one thing that would help our listeners as they navigate moving from post trauma into post traumatic growth? What would be that one thing that you could teach them or share
Mm.
with them that would be most helpful?
I think I've kind of mentioned this before, but I think it's
Mhm.
worth reiterating because I think we really underestimate the power of listening to our body.
Yes.
And I think it is such a, a powerful tool that all of us have access to because we're all living in a body,
Yeah,
but we're
funny that.
not taught. Yeah, we're just not taught. It's not something we're taught. And I mean, again, as simple, it's like not the sexy answer like people want to hear, but and as simple as it sounds, like our bodies are so incredibly designed. Like we have everything we need to heal ourselves within us. Like that we are
Mm,
just such powerful beings and we are energetic beings. And people can see energy as woo or whatever, but you cannot deny the fact that we are energetic beings. I mean, there's equipment now that can measure our energetic field, our aura. Like there's
yes.
scientific technique or equipment you can use to measure this. So we know that. So we have so much power available to us within our bodies. And we're just, so many of us are just not tapped into that. And so I think that that would be my one thing is if you're going to spend your time and energy doing anything, it's just listening to your body and listening to I talk to my clients about learning the language of your body because
Mm,
your body is sending you signs and signals all the time. Sometimes it's in little
absolutely.
whispers, sometimes it's shouting and yelling at you, but there is a
Yep.
language of your body and only you know that language because that happens to so many of my clients where they've gone, especially going the conventional medical route, they're gaslit, they're dismissed,
Hmm.
they're told, it's all in your head where you know what's happening in your body better than any doctor. I don't care how smart a doctor or whatever, you know your body better than anybody. So, yeah, that would be I feel like that's the most important thing is just learning the language of your body and listening to
That is the best gold nugget. That is
it.
absolutely brilliant because exactly, we all are alive in a body.
Mhm.
So no one knows us better than ourselves.
Mhm.
And you're so right. And we might have a quick chat about this, and you would see it, I see it a lot, and I've been through it myself, and it's been a conversation on recent episodes about being gaslit.
Mm.
That how many times do the people that come to see us, how many times have they been told it's in their head? How many times have they keep going back and going back and going back through that normal medical route? And it's that whole, no one's getting me the answers, but I know
Right.
something's wrong.
Mhm. Exactly.
Yeah, so how do you help people when they're showing up like that?
Yeah, yeah. And it's a tough, I mean, I would say 99 of my percent of my clients are in that place. Like, and that's why they're coming to me because they're like, I've tried everything else. I have
Hmm.
literally tried everything else. And I still can't find the answers. And it is a hard place to be because I know there's a lot of skepticism involved and like, how are you going to be any different? But I think that, I don't, how do I say this? I try to bring the point across that I don't want to work with people who are seeing me as their savior. Like I'm not trying to be a
Yeah.
savior for you and saving the day, right?
Mhm.
I want to just be a guide to help you understand you. And
Mm,
that's the path to healing. I just want to help you understand you. And so that's really the approach I take with my clients. And it's probably not going to be a quick fix because I mean I'm not about quick fixes because quick fixes never last. So it's not going to
mm,
be a quick thing. It's going to be a process. Sometimes it gets worse before it gets better.
yeah.
So we have to keep that in mind. The healing process is never linear, right? So there's certain
Mm.
expectations I want to put out up front. But the fact is, if you are on the path, you're on the journey, you've made a decision that something is off and I want to figure out what it is and fix it, then you're going to get there eventually. Like you've already made the decision.
Yeah.
And so it really comes down to having that commitment, having that intention, and then I think it's just trying something out of the box and new, which for a lot of my clients is the work that I do. It's something I've never
Mm.
tried before. But I do think that it's not just the fact that what they're doing, what I do is different than most practitioners, but it is that energetic emotional piece. So that's usually the piece that hasn't been addressed.
Mm.
And so it's putting the right pieces together for you to start seeing changes and healing happening in the body too.
I really love that approach, and that you're open and honest. And because, as you said, you're their last resort a lot of the time. They've tried everything else. And I think being able to say, well, how's that worked for you so far?
Right, exactly.
Given them hope that you can give them something they haven't tried.
Right.
They're at that point where they've been gaslit so much, they've tried so many things, they will do anything pretty much, which is a great place to be in lots of ways, but also places them at risk of, well, it didn't work straight away. You
Right.
didn't fix me. So
Right.
giving that realistic expectation that it's a process.
Yeah.
As
Yeah,
everything
it
in our
is.
healing's a process, as you said, a couple of steps forward and 10 steps back. But it's that
Sometimes it is.
perseverance and the resilience and that
Yes.
willingness to change. I love that so much. So, as we move to wrapping up this conversation, where can our listeners, who I know are going to want to find you online and connect with you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram. I'm at the Hope Pedraza. I'm most active on Instagram. I'm on Facebook as well, but most active on Instagram. And then my website is hopefulandwholesome.com. I have a podcast by the same name, Hopeful and Wholesome. And yeah, so you can find me there. I also have a YouTube channel. You can find me. I'm Hope Pedraza on YouTube as well.
Excellent. And I'll put all of those links in the show notes. And I know that you've also got a quiz. So I'll put that in there. Did you want to let our listeners know about
Yeah.
your amazing quiz?
Yes, so I have the energy leak locator quiz, which I love. And I know you talk a lot about archetypes, so that I have some little archetypes built into the quiz here. But basically, it's a quiz to show you where your energy is leaking. So is it an emotional, energetic? I talk about minerals. I do a lot of mineral bouncing, so we talk about minerals. So I'm putting all the pieces together in the quiz, but for you to really uncover where your energy is leaking. I am a firm believer that it's the energy leaks, right? That's what's causing
Yeah.
our physical symptoms. And so it gives you a good picture of where your energy is leaking, what patterns and beliefs are playing out in your subconscious that are leading to these energy leaks. And then I'll send you a little tool to help you start to reprogram some of that.
Fantastic. And I know our listeners and myself love a good tool. So
Oh, yeah.
thank you so much. I'll definitely put that in the show notes as well. And I
Thank you.
always like to end the show with one question. Just wanted to ask, what do you think your younger self would think of what you're doing now and what you've achieved?
I like that question. That's a good one. I think my younger self would be really amazed at the level of tenacity and resilience that I've showed over the years. I feel emotional talking about that. I think that, and I think she'd be really proud that I was able to overcome so much. And, I often feel sometimes, talk about my things that I've experienced in my life, and I think, oh, people have, so many people have been through so many worse things, blah, blah, blah. But I think my younger self would recognize like all the things that I've been through and be really proud that I was able to grow and move past it and not hold on to resentment or anger or any of those things. So that I was able to walk myself through it and grow
Yeah.
stronger and continue to move towards my dreams and my goals.
Oh, how special. That's beautiful. And I got goosebumps as you said that.
Oh,
So
thank you.
that's a message. Absolutely. And I think you're spot on. Look how far you've come and how much growth you've done and what you're now paying forward and helping other people with. So you're definitely on purpose and have connected science and soul perfectly. So thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for coming on and sharing your knowledge and wisdom and your story with us.
Thank you, Nat. Thanks so much for having me.
My pleasure. Talk to you soon. Bye for now. Thank you for joining me in this episode of Growing Tall Poppies. It is my deepest hope that today's episode may have inspired and empowered you to step fully into your post-traumatic growth so that you can have absolute clarity around who you are, what matters the most to you, and to assist you to release your negative emotions and regulate your nervous system so you can fully thrive. New episodes are published every Tuesday, and I hope you'll continue to join us as we explore both the strategies and the personal qualities required to fully live a life of post-traumatic growth and to thrive. So if it feels aligned to you and really resonates, then I invite you to hit subscribe, and it would mean the world to us if you could share this episode with others who you feel may benefit too. You may also find me on Instagram at Growing Tall Poppies and Facebook, Dr. Natalie Green. Remember, every moment is an opportunity to look for the lessons and to learn and increase your ability to live the life you desire and deserve. So for now, stay connected, stay inspired, stand tall like the tall poppy you are, and keep shining your light brightly in the world. Bye for now.